There is a moment, quiet, still, unannounced, when everything shifts. Not because something around you changed, but because you changed. And in that moment, without fireworks or fanfare, your desire becomes reality. Not by struggle, not by pleading, but by knowing. What if I told you that your manifestation doesn't live in the future? It already exists. Not in some far off possibility, but in the invisible now. Would you continue begging for it? Or would you begin to walk, talk, and live like the one who already received? The problem isn't that the universe isn't listening. The problem is you keep waiting for a sign instead of becoming one. You keep watching the door, unaware that it already opened behind you. You're not asked to work harder. You're asked to believe deeper. You're not instructed to chase, only to assume it's already yours and act from that place. You see, the universe doesn't deliver based on effort, it delivers based on identity. And identity is not what you try to be, it's what you know yourself to be. Trust God so completely that even in the silence, even in the waiting, you behave like the prayer is answered, like the blessing is in the room, like the miracle is parked outside your door. Stop looking at the evidence of your senses. They are the past, frozen into form. Start trusting the evidence of your spirit, that deep inner conviction that says, I don't need to see it to know it's mine. You're not hoping anymore. You're not doubting. You're not questioning. You're walking in the result. You're moving in the end. You're breathing the reality that others say is still on its way. The truth is simple. It's already done. The moment you asked, the answer was created. The moment you believed, the path was laid. The moment you stopped waiting and started acting, everything began to respond. Act like it, walk like it, speak like it, not as if it might happen, but as if it already has. You don't wait for the check before celebrating abundance. You don't wait for the healing before thanking God for your health. You don't wait for love before knowing you're loved. You become the person who already has it, because that's the only version of you that the universe responds to. And that's the secret. God is not trying to convince you of his power. He's waiting for you to trust it. Trust it so fully, so completely, that every cell in your body aligns with the reality you've seen in your imagination. That's not delusion, that's faith, that's not fantasy, that's spiritual law. So today, you must rise in thought. You must abandon the version of you that keeps asking and step into the version that keeps receiving. You must say, I am, not I wish. You must behave like the miracle's old news. You must talk like the success already happened, because in the realm of God and the universe it has. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live from that state, not toward it. Everything begins with a feeling, not a thought, not an action, not even a prayer, but a feeling. This is the silent birthplace of all manifestations. If you can feel it now, you don't need to wait for it to happen. The universe does not respond to what you wish. It responds to what you feel to be true. That's the difference between desiring something and having something. Desire, by its very nature, implies lack, but assumption implies possession. So the secret is not to constantly desire the thing, but to become the one who already has it. To put on the coat of your wish fulfilled and wear it as if it fits you perfectly. That's what it means to assume the feeling. You do not chase, you inhabit, you do not strive, you embody. Close your eyes. Imagine not the process, not the path, but the end, the result, the moment after it has come to pass. How do you feel? What surrounds you? How is your body responding? How are you breathing? Who are you now? Capture that scene and step into it, not just in imagination, but in identity. This isn't a game of pretending, it's a practice of spiritual certainty. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, everything begins to arrange itself to make your inner world the outer reality. It may look like chance, coincidence, or alignment, but in truth it is the law of the unseen responding to the authority of your assumption. You don't ask permission, you don't beg the world, you command by assuming. Think about it. A person who already received what they wanted walks differently. They speak differently. They rest without worry because their desire has become their truth. They don't check their phone every hour for a message. They don't rehearse how it will happen. They're not anxious about outcomes. They live as if it has already happened, because to them, it has. That's the power you hold. You don't wait to be wealthy to feel wealthy. You don't wait to be loved to feel loved. You assume it, and through that assumption, the universe has no choice but to reflect your inner certainty, not because it's obligated, but because it's obedient to your belief. You are not becoming, you are. You are not chasing, you have. You are not trying, you know. That is the sacred power of assumption, and it is the birthplace of miracles. Trust God's divine timing without interference from fear, doubt, or logic. The moment you surrender your desire to God is the moment it begins to unfold. But most people don't surrender. They bargain, they time, they stress, they try to control what is already perfect, and in doing so, they delay the very thing they long for. Trust in divine timing is not about passivity, it's about power. A deep, unwavering inner knowing that what you asked for is not only on its way, but already done. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every hour to see if it's growing. You trust the process, you water it, you nourish it, and you walk away in faith. This is exactly how the spiritual realm works. When you declare your intention and align your identity with that intention, your only job is to stay in that state. The how, the when, the movement of events, all of that is God's business. And here's the truth. Fear is just your old identity trying to survive in a world that has already moved on. Doubt is not your intuition, it's your conditioning. Logic is not a master, it's a servant. Don't let it convince you that the impossible is unreachable. The mind will try to time things. It will ask, why hasn't it happened yet? But the soul knows it already has. The problem isn't time. The problem is your relationship with time. You think if it doesn't come quickly, it's not coming at all. But what if the delay is not a denial, but a design? What if the universe is still preparing you to meet the blessing at the right frequency, the right chapter, the right moment? What if God is not withholding, but perfecting? There is great peace when you stop controlling and start trusting. When you drop the timelines and sink into faith. Because the moment you stop watching the clock, you begin to operate outside of it. And miracles don't obey time, they obey trust. Divine timing isn't random, it's intentional. And if you knew what God knew, you would understand why the wait is not punishment, it's positioning. So the next time fear creeps in, remind it that it has no place in your knowing. When doubt knocks, don't answer. When logic tries to explain delay, smile and return to your feeling of certainty. Your manifestation is not missing, it's maturing. You don't need to make it happen. You only need to trust that it already has and live like it. Ignore external appearances. They are only projections of your old beliefs. What you see with your eyes is not truth, it's history. The world around you, your current conditions, your bank account, your relationships, your status, your struggles, all of it is nothing more than a mirror of the beliefs you previously held. It's not who you are, it's who you were. This is one of the greatest secrets of manifestation. The present moment is the echo of the past. Most people make the mistake of reacting to appearances. They look at their circumstances and accept them as fact, as final, as evidence of what's possible. But the wise man knows that reality is malleable. He understands that just because something looks a certain way doesn't mean it is that way. He doesn't argue with appearances. He simply turns within and constructs a new truth and waits for the outer to catch up. You must remember, if you keep believing in what you see, you will keep recreating what you've seen, because your attention is a vote. Your emotional response is a seed. The moment you respond to lack, you replant it. The moment you feel small, you confirm the illusion. But when you turn your back on appearances and feel abundance even in the face of emptiness, you cancel the lie and rewrite the scene. This is why so few ever create lasting change. Because the world speaks loudly. It screams, you can't, you haven't, you won't. And if you listen, you fall. But if you listen to the deeper voice, the one that whispers within, then you stand in power while the storm passes. You walk in wealth when your pockets are empty. You rest in love when no one has called. You smile because you know something the world doesn't. This version of reality is expired. The trick is to live from the new state even while surrounded by the old one. Don't wait for the world to change. Be the change in the world. When you close your eyes and step into your new self, the outer world begins to bend. People change. Opportunities appear. Circumstances shift. Not because you fought them, but because you ignored them and replaced them with something higher. Do not react. Do not resist. Do not explain. Simply assume. Assume that your new world already exists and treat the current one like yesterday's news. Your job is not to fix the world, it's to replace it. And you do that not with effort, but with vision. Ignore what is. Focus on what must be. And then feel it. Because what you feel, you feed. And what you feed, you create. Act and speak as if your desire is already manifested, because energetically it is. You have to become it before you see it. That is the law. That is the rhythm of all true manifestation. It's not one day I'll have it. It's I already have it. Your speech, your posture, your tone, your decisions, they must all reflect the reality that your desire is not a dream, but a fact. Not an ambition, but an identity. This is the energy the universe responds to. Look closely at the way you speak. Are you talking about your goals like they're far away? Are you always saying, I hope, I wish, I'm trying? Because every time you do, you confirm that you are not the one who has it. You are not aligning with the outcome. You are pushing it away. Change your language and you will change your life. Speak from the end. Declare from the outcome. Move from the result. Acting as if is not pretending, it's embodying. Pretending means you know it's not real. Embodying means you know it already is. When you embody the version of you who has the desire, you don't just think differently, you behave differently. Your choices reflect trust. Your actions reflect conviction. Your energy becomes magnetic. Why? Because you are no longer begging, you are broadcasting. And remember this, your environment may not match your inner vision at first. That's okay. It doesn't need to, because the outer world lags behind. But when you persist in your energetic truth, when you continue walking, talking, dressing, and deciding from the reality you've seen in your imagination, everything around you will adjust to fit your frequency. That is spiritual law. This is the mystery behind sudden breakthroughs. What looks like overnight success is really months or years of alignment, acting in silence, walking with invisible confidence, declaring truths before anyone else could see them. People didn't believe it would happen, but it didn't matter because you did, and that belief changed everything. You must remember who you are. You are not a beggar in the realm of spirit. You are a co-creator, a vessel through which the unseen becomes seen. You are not here to wait for miracles. You are here to be the miracle in motion. So act like the money's already yours. Speak like the healing is already done. Walk like the prayer has already been answered, because in truth, it has. Persist in the assumption, especially when nothing seems to change. There will be moments when everything in your world screams contradiction. You will declare abundance, but your bank account will whisper lack. You will speak healing, but your body will ache. You will affirm love, but silence will answer back. In those moments, many give up. Many walk away. Many say, it doesn't work. But the ones who receive, the ones who know, they do something different. They persist. Persistence is the test, not a test of strength, but of identity. Will you remain who you say you are, even when the world tells a different story? Or will you fold back into who you were, just because reality hasn't caught up yet? You see, the law is always working, but your impatience can interrupt it. The seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. It moves in silence beneath the surface, and so must you. Assumption is not something you do once. It's a state you live in. You don't assume you are wealthy for 10 minutes in the morning and then complain the rest of the day. You don't visualize health before bed and then speak sickness when you wake up. You must hold the tone. You must keep the role. You must guard the identity like it's already done because it is. Persistence means you refuse to negotiate with the senses. You don't ask them for permission to believe. You don't need the outside world to validate your inner world. You know that every moment of loyalty to your new assumption is a signal sent to the universe. This is who I am now, and nothing will move me from it. And when the universe receives that signal consistently, it has no choice but to match it. Those who persist walk through darkness like they've already seen the sun. They dance before the music starts. They speak of blessings before the rain. And that's why the world calls them lucky. But luck has nothing to do with it. They simply refused to be convinced by what wasn't real. They lived in the unseen until it was seen. They kept the assumption alive until the world had to surrender to it. So when nothing around you is changing, do not retreat. Stand taller. When the doubts come, smile at them. When the noise gets louder, get quieter within. Because the longer you persist, the weaker the illusion becomes. And suddenly, without warning, the breakthrough happens. Not because you forced it, but because you held it. That is the hidden power of unwavering assumption. That is where everything begins to shift. Let go of the how and align with the who, the version of you who already has it. The question that destroys more dreams than failure is how? How will it happen? How will I meet the right person? How will the money come? How will this situation fix itself? The mind is addicted to methods, but the spirit doesn't need methods. It moves through identity. You don't need to know how your desire will manifest. You only need to know who you are. The moment you focus on how, you return to control. You shrink your power. You become the beggar, not the master. You begin to limit the infinite to your finite understanding. But your job is not to figure out how it will unfold. Your only responsibility is to become the one who already has it. That version of you, the one living in the result, that's the one the universe responds to. Ask yourself, who am I in the end? How do I walk, speak, decide, rest, eat, love, breathe, as the version of me who already has it? Let that version of you take the wheel. Step into their shoes. Let them speak for you. Let their energy radiate through your being. That's not fake, it's faith. That's not delusion, it's creation. When you stop needing to control the path reveals itself, because it was never hidden. It was just waiting for you to rise to the right level. You think the steps come first, but they don't. The state comes first. When you are aligned with the version of you who already has it, then the phone call comes, the opportunity arrives, the door opens, but never before. You're not chasing events, you're chasing alignment. You're not chasing solutions, you're becoming the one who has no problems. This is why the how doesn't matter, because your new identity attracts the how. It pulls it toward you, it bends the world to make room for you. That's why miracles seem to happen for some people. They stopped trying to earn it and started embodying it. So drop the how, let it go. It's none of your business. Instead, turn your focus inward and ask, who am I being right now? Am I in the posture of already having it? Or am I still doubting, still waiting, still hesitating? Because the moment you become the who, the how becomes irrelevant. It takes care of itself. And that's the power you were born with, the power to shift worlds simply by shifting you. Celebrate your answered prayer in advance, for it is already done in the unseen. Gratitude is not a reaction. Gratitude is a demonstration of belief. Anyone can give thanks once the blessing appears. But true power lies in giving thanks before the manifestation becomes visible. Why? Because that is the highest form of faith. It says, I trust so deeply, I rejoice as if it has already arrived. And in truth, it has. The moment you ask and believe, it is given. The only delay is in your awareness of it. When you celebrate in advance, you collapse the distance between the unseen and the seen. You stop waiting, you stop watching, you start welcoming. Think of it like preparing a home for a long-awaited guest. You don't ask every hour if they're coming. You make the bed, you light the candle, you set the table. You prepare with joy. That's what your heart must do with your desires. Prepare the room before the arrival. That is spiritual intelligence. Many block their own manifestations by constantly questioning their prayer. Did it work? Why isn't it here? Maybe I did something wrong. But what if the only thing you had to do was praise? Not because you were told to, but because you know it's done. When you feel that kind of joy, when your soul begins to celebrate like the victory already came, the universe hears a frequency it cannot ignore. You must stop acting like you're still waiting. You're not. You're receiving. Big difference. Waiting has anxiety. Receiving has joy. Waiting carries fear. Receiving carries stillness. So choose joy today. Choose certainty. Give thanks for the job you haven't seen, the healing not yet felt, the relationship not yet formed. Because in the divine realm, all of it already exists. You're not begging, you're aligning. The person who lives in praise is the person who has stepped beyond time. They understand that what they desire is already complete. Their only task is to tune themselves to the right station, like turning the dial on a radio until the frequency is clear. And the moment they do, the music of their answered prayer begins to play. So laugh before the breakthrough, smile before the money, dance before the healing, give thanks before the evidence. That's not madness, that's mastery. You are not hoping anymore, you are knowing. And from that knowing, you give thanks, not for what's coming, but for what's already yours. Everything you desire is already finished. You are not creating it from scratch, you are simply selecting it with your belief, your assumption, and your faith. The version of your life that you dream of, the wealth, the healing, the love, the peace, it's not a fantasy. It is a real living reality in the unseen. And the moment you believe it, you merge with it. Trust God completely. That means you don't need to ask again and again. You don't need to worry if the universe got the message. The moment the desire formed, the answer was born. Your role is not to chase, stress, or force. Your role is to become. Become the one who already has it. Walk in it. Think in it. Live in it. Ignore what you see with the eyes. That is yesterday's news. Let your inner world speak louder. Let your imagination be the true authority. Because what you imagine with conviction, what you feel with truth, and what you act upon with faith must become your world. You are not waiting for the universe. The universe is waiting for you to step in, to claim, to celebrate, to trust. It's already done. So act like it, walk like it, speak like it, and receive it. Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever desired, love, success, respect, abundance, is already yours. Not in some far-off future, not in a place waiting to be earned, but right here, right now, hidden in the folds of your awareness. The world around you bends itself to the shape of your inner conviction. And life becomes not a chase, but a mirror. You are not the seeker of value, you are the value. You are not the beggar knocking on the door of opportunity. You are the invitation itself. When you walk into a room, walk with the quiet knowing that your presence alone is enough, not because of your looks, your money, your titles, or your past, but because of who you are within. That divine self that no one sees but everyone feels. The world responds not to your desperation, not to your effort, but to your assumption. What you assume to be true of yourself, the world rushes to confirm. So act not from lack, but from fullness. Do not ask, will they choose me? But instead, am I choosing myself in every moment? To act as if you are the prize is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the holy recognition that you do not need to prove, to beg, or to lower your light so others feel comfortable. The sun does not apologize for its brilliance, and neither should you. People may try to convince you that humility means shrinking, but true humility is knowing your worth without shouting it. It is wearing your crown even when no one claps. It is knowing that your value is not up for negotiation, not dependent on who accepts you or who walks away. You do not become the prize by earning it through external achievements. You are the prize because you were born with the spark of the eternal within you. The outer world may forget it, but your soul never does. And when you remember it, deeply, fiercely, and consistently, the world begins to reflect it back to you. Doors open without knocking. People shift in your presence. Circumstances rearrange themselves, not because you chased, but because you became. So carry yourself as one who already holds the treasure. Speak as one who already knows the answer. Think as one who is already chosen. Because to act as if you are the prize is to stop seeking and start radiating, and the universe cannot resist the one who no longer resists themselves. You are not incomplete waiting to be completed. You are not half a soul looking for its other part. You are the whole, and the whole does not chase, it attracts. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to remind others of what they've forgotten about themselves. But that reminder can only come when you first remember your own sacred worth. When you embody your power, silently, consistently, and with grace, you activate the very force that shapes reality. Not by force, but by frequency. You will see people who used to ignore you now trying to capture your attention. Not because you changed your face, but because you changed your inner stance. You became unbothered. You stopped reaching. You ceased to beg. And in doing so, you became magnetic. The prize does not chase, it waits. It knows that what is meant to find it will come. Not because it needs it, but because it matches it. So stand tall, not because life has given you a reason, but because you have decided to be the reason. Walk into every moment like the answer, not the question. Speak from certainty, not fear. Think from completion, not craving. And you will begin to see that you were never meant to find value. You were meant to awaken to the truth that you are and always have been, the value itself. The world you see around you is not merely a stage of external events and random outcomes. It is, in truth, a faithful mirror, an exact reflection of the internal beliefs you carry about yourself. Every interaction, every delay, every blessing, every rejection, they are not accidents. They are responses to your dominant state of consciousness. When you believe you are not enough, life seems to echo that belief back to you. People overlook you. Opportunities pass you by. Respect is denied. But the moment you shift within, the moment you assume that you are the prize, everything begins to change. Not because the world suddenly becomes generous, but because you have changed the signal you are broadcasting. You see, life listens not to what you say, not even to what you want, but to what you assume to be true. If deep within you hold the belief that you are secondary, unworthy, replaceable, or lacking, you will find yourself in situations that confirm it. You may try to hide this belief with surface-level confidence, with polished appearances, or with ambition, but the universe does not respond to the mask, and it responds to the root. And until that root belief is transformed, you will find yourself circling the same experiences, wondering why others seem to be chosen while you are overlooked. But here is the miracle. The moment you begin to assume differently, life begins to respond differently. You do not need to wait for validation. You do not need a new wardrobe or a new degree or someone's permission. You need a new assumption. Imagine waking up and walking through your day with the inner conviction that you are the prize, not arrogantly, not loudly, but silently, deeply, and unshakably. You begin to think differently, not because someone complimented you, but because you remembered who you are. You begin to walk with calm presence, not because the world told you to, but because your inner world has settled into truth. From this new assumption, the mirror must reflect a new image. People start treating you with unexpected kindness and respect. Invitations arrive. Eyes linger longer. Doors open faster. And it's not because you have become someone new, but because you finally allowed the truth of who you are to radiate from within. You were always the prize, but you spent years acting like the pursuer, believing that value was outside of you, something to be earned or chased. Now you realize it was within you the whole time. Your world is only confirming what you now believe. This is why you must protect your inner assumptions with fierce dedication. Do not let the outer world dictate how you feel about yourself. The world is not the cause, it is the effect. If someone mistreats you, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, go within and ask, what belief am I holding that allows this behavior to reflect in my world? Then shift it. Choose again. Assume again. Because once you assume your worth, the world cannot help but reflect that worth back to you. This is not delusion. This is alignment. You are aligning with the truth of your spiritual identity, and that identity is powerful, radiant, whole, and worthy. The false humility that tells you to shrink, to doubt, to remain small, that is the true illusion. But the quiet certainty that says, I am enough, I am chosen, I am the prize, that is the beginning of all transformation. The shift begins not in changing others, but in changing the way you see yourself. Even when circumstances seem unchanged, hold your assumption. Even when others do not see it yet, do not waver, because the mirror takes a moment to catch up with the new image you are holding, but it must reflect it. It has no choice. That is the law. Your assumption is the seed, and your world is the soil. Once planted, it begins to grow. You will see evidence, and that evidence will strengthen your faith. And soon, the old reality that once ruled you will seem like a distant dream, because you will have created a new one from within. To act as if you are the prize then is not to manipulate the world, it is to accept that the world can only mirror back what you've dared to believe about yourself. The change you seek is not out there, it is in the silence of your own consciousness. Begin there and watch how the world must respond. There is a profound shift that happens the moment you stop seeking and start radiating. Seeking is rooted in lack. It says, I do not yet have, therefore I must chase. But radiating emerges from inner knowing. It says, it is already mine, so I need only to be. When you seek, you send a message to life that you are incomplete, that you are in need, that something vital is missing. And life, being the perfect mirror, reflects back that sense of lack. But when you begin to radiate, you no longer broadcast need, you exude presence. You become a signal of wholeness. And suddenly, everything you once chased begins to find you. It is not about doing more. It is about being more aligned. When you stop running after love, approval, recognition, or success, you begin to carry yourself with a stillness that is more powerful than words. You no longer ask the world to notice you because your energy already commands attention. People may not know why they feel drawn to you, why they respect you more, why they want to be around you, but they will feel it. That feeling is your radiance, and it is born not from effort, but from assumption. To radiate is to know who you are deeply and silently. It is to walk into any space not asking to be chosen, but knowing that your worth does not increase or decrease based on someone else's response. You are not moved by attention, nor are you diminished by silence. Because you have anchored your value inwardly, the outer world becomes a place of reflection, not validation. And that is where true power lives. Power that does not seek to impress. Power that simply is. Many people confuse radiance with arrogance, but the two could not be further apart. Arrogance shouts from insecurity, radiance whispers from certainty. When you radiate, you do not need to argue for your value. You do not need to compete for space. You simply exist in the fullness of your being, and that fullness becomes a light others cannot ignore. The rose does not chase the bee. The sun does not plead with the earth to rotate. Their function is not to seek, but to shine. Think about the times when you felt the most magnetic, the most powerful, the most free. It was likely not when you were seeking approval, but when you were immersed in being fully yourself. No masks, no trying, just being. That state of effortless presence is the key, and the more you cultivate it, the more you'll notice that people, ideas, and outcomes begin to orbit around you. Not because you demanded it, but because you became the source. This transformation requires a quiet confidence, a willingness to stop performing and start embodying. You no longer need to ask, am I enough? Because the question itself fades in the presence of truth. And the truth is that you have always been enough. The seeking was just a distraction, a symptom of forgetting. When you remember who you are, not with ego but with reverence, you no longer feel the urge to reach outward. You realize that everything is attracted to the one who no longer chases. It is important to recognize that the shift from seeking to radiating is not something others grant you, it is something you decide. It is a choice you make in the stillness of your own mind. You decide to stop begging the world to see you, and instead you see yourself. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to feel worthy, and instead you declare yourself worthy now. This is not fantasy, this is faith. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you radiate, you move differently. You speak with more intention, you rest without guilt, you listen without fear. You show up not because you are trying to earn something, but because your presence is already a gift. You start to find beauty in your solitude, peace in your stillness, and joy in your being. And from that place of inner wholeness, what is truly yours begins to flow toward you, not because you hunted it down, but because you finally aligned with it. So if you find yourself exhausted from the constant chase, chasing love, chasing attention, chasing success, know this: you do not have to run anymore. Be still and know. The moment you begin to radiate is the moment the world begins to respond, not with chaos, but with clarity, not with scarcity, but with abundance, because you have stopped screaming into the void and started vibrating with truth. The world cannot help but move toward one who no longer seeks validation from it. There is something irresistible about a soul that has remembered its worth, a soul that has nothing to prove, nothing to chase, and nothing to fear. That is the essence of true radiance, and when you live from that essence, everything changes, because you change first. There is a quiet freedom that comes with knowing you are already complete. Not someday, not when someone loves you, not when the world finally recognizes your efforts, but now, in this very moment. You are not half a soul searching for its other part. You are not a broken piece hoping someone will come along to fill your cracks. You are whole. Spiritually, emotionally, energetically, you are a full expression of life itself. Acting as if you were the prize begins with understanding that you were never meant to be completed by another person, situation, or outcome. You were designed to be complete, to know yourself as enough before the world even speaks your name. Most people walk through life trying to earn their completeness. They look for it in relationships, hoping that someone's love will finally make them feel valuable. They seek it in achievements, thinking that success will silence the inner voice of inadequacy. They chase it in possessions, hoping that if they acquire enough, they will finally feel like they matter. But wholeness cannot be found in fragments, and that what is already whole cannot be improved by what is temporary. The truth is, you came into this world with everything you needed. You just forgot. And in that forgetting, you began to act from lack. You began to seek approval, to crave attention, to depend on other people's opinions, to feel secure. You began to overgive, to over-explain, to overextend yourself just to be seen. You accepted less than you deserved because you believed deep down that you had to earn love, earn respect, earn belonging. But what if you didn't? What if you already had it within you? And then, what if the love you give so freely to others was always meant to be reflected inward first? When you act as if you are complete, you no longer tolerate situations that diminish you. You no longer participate in relationships that drain you. You no longer give your power away in the hope that someone will return it with affection. You understand that your self-worth is not a negotiation. It is a sacred knowing. It is the truth you carry even when no one claps, even when no one stays, even when the world seems silent. Because true wholeness does not require applause to be real. It simply is. To act from completeness is not to reject connection. It is to approach connection from fullness rather than from hunger. You no longer say, I need you to make me feel whole. Instead, you say, I welcome you into the abundance I already carry. There is no desperation in this, no clinging, no fear of abandonment, because you are not grasping for completion. You are sharing from overflow. And that shift changes everything. People sense it. They feel it in your presence. They respect it even if they cannot explain why. Living from completeness means that you no longer chase the things that once haunted you. You stop chasing closure because you understand that peace is an internal decision, not a gift someone else grants you. You stop chasing validation because you are already rooted in self-approval. You stop chasing the fantasy of being saved because you know that your strength has always been enough to carry you through. The chase ends, and in its place, calm begins. You do not need to announce your completeness. You do not need to prove it. In fact, the most complete souls are often the quietest, not because they lack power, but because they no longer need to display it. Their peace speaks louder than performance ever could. Their silence is not emptiness, it is fullness too deep for words. And in that quiet strength, they become unshakable. Life may rise and fall around them. People may come and go, but they remain anchored, not to ego, but to truth. When you truly know your whole, you begin to trust life in a new way. You no longer try to control everything. You no longer fear being alone. You no longer measure your worth by how others treat you. Instead, you begin to rest, not in laziness, but in confidence. You begin to let go, not from defeat, but from wisdom. And you begin to receive, not because you need, but because you are ready. You become magnetic, not by striving, but by being. You attract what is aligned, and what is misaligned falls away without resistance, not because you fought it, but because it no longer matches your inner reality. You have become the prize, not just in word, but in state of being. And from that state, you do not beg, you do not chase, you do not break. You simply stand, complete, worthy, unmoved. This is the power of knowing you are not a fragment in search of your missing piece. You are the whole picture. And when you live from that truth, life begins to mirror it, not because it changed, but because you did. Best I can think of is forms. There is an invisible stance you carry, one that speaks louder than words, more forcefully than any action. It is the quiet, unspoken message you send out through your body language, your choices, your silence, your energy. This inner posture is not seen with the eyes, but it is deeply felt by the world around you. Your inner stance determines your outer results, not because the universe plays favorites, but because the outer world is always responding to the energetic blueprint you hold within. You are not a passive participant in your life's outcomes. You are the origin point. What you carry in consciousness becomes what you experience in reality. You could say all the right words, wear the right clothes, show up in the right places, and still watch life pass you by. If your inner stance is one of fear, doubt, or unworthiness, and you could do very little externally, speak softly, remain unseen, yet command extraordinary results. If your inner stance is one of assurance, wholeness, and knowing, the external world has no choice but to respond to the vibration you live in. That's why two people can enter the same room, say the same thing, apply for the same opportunity, and receive completely different responses. It is not the action alone, it is the posture from which the action arises. When you carry yourself with the quiet belief that you are not enough, you unconsciously push away the very things you desire. Opportunities slip through your fingers. Relationships remain shallow or unstable. Respect is denied without explanation. But the moment you shift within, the moment you stop approaching life from a place of needing to prove something, everything changes. You stop needing to convince people of your worth and instead you begin to show up as someone who already knows it. That knowing, that deep inner stance, becomes your signature energy, and the world cannot help but respond. Most people are taught to fix the outer before addressing the inner. They try to manipulate circumstances, control outcomes, change others. They hope that if they can just get life to behave the way they want, they will finally feel safe, valuable, powerful. But this is a backwards equation. The inner always comes first. The outer is the echo. So if you want life to treat you differently, you must first treat yourself differently. In thought, in belief, in assumption. There is nothing more powerful than the energy of someone who has decided to no longer betray themselves. Someone who no longer walks into a room hoping to be chosen, but who knows they belong wherever their feet are placed. Someone who no longer apologizes for their presence, their needs, or their truth. That kind of person doesn't dominate others. They don't shout to be seen, but their calm is commanding and their silence is full. Their stillness is magnetic. Why? Because their inner stance is rooted in unshakable worth. And this inner stance cannot be faked. You cannot pretend to believe in your value. You cannot force alignment through performance. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you truly believe you deserve. If your actions are motivated by fear, the result will reflect fear. If your words are rooted in insecurity, but if you move from a place of spiritual confidence, knowing that your value is not up for debate, then every step you take becomes a seed of power, and the harvest will come not by striving, but by standing. This is why you must guard your inner world. Watch what you allow yourself to believe. Be aware of the narratives you rehearse in your mind. Do you constantly imagine being overlooked, rejected, betrayed? Or do you imagine being honored, loved, respected? Do you walk through your day with a posture of scarcity or a posture of sufficiency? These choices are subtle, but they are everything. Because the world is not responding to your effort, it is responding to your energy. You don't need to fix your appearance, your status, or your resume to change your results. You need to fix your stance. You need to wake up and declare in the silence of your heart that you will no longer carry the energy of someone who doubts their own worth. You will no longer tolerate the internal dialogue that says, I am too much or I am not enough. You will no longer approach life as if you are at its mercy. Instead, you will begin to live as if life is responding to you. Because it is. And when you change your stance, people begin to treat you differently without understanding why. Suddenly, you are respected in a room where you were once dismissed. You are seen where you were once invisible. You are remembered where you were once forgotten. Not because they changed, but because you did. And this change doesn't require noise or grand gestures. It simply requires consistency. You begin to embody the energy of someone who knows their value and refuses to be moved by circumstances that do not align with it. The stance you carry is your authority. When you align it with truth, your truth, the world follows. Every result you seek is already on the other side of your inner decision to stop begging for what you were meant to command. And when that decision is made, everything shifts. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. There is a sacred stillness in the soul that knows its worth. It does not chase, it does not beg, it does not exhaust itself trying to be seen, heard, or chosen. It waits, not with passivity, but with powerful awareness. It waits because it understands one eternal truth. The prize never pursues. The prize knows that what is aligned will find it. It understands that to be the prize is to be sought, not to seek. And this is not about ego or arrogance. It is about identity. It is about finally stepping into the place where you stop trying to prove your value and start embodying it. When you act as if you are the prize, you take your attention off of the noise. You no longer react to every slight, chase after every opportunity, or cling to people who don't see you. You step back into your center. And from that center, you remember that what is truly meant for you is never something you have to fight for. It will be drawn to you, not because you forced it, but because your energy called it in. The prize does not move toward the world in desperation. The prize stands rooted and allows the world to move toward it. So, many people wear themselves thin trying to be enough for others, running after love, chasing respect, hoping that if they give more, prove more, sacrifice more, they will finally be chosen. But that energy only leads to disappointment. Why? Because it's not the nature of the prize to chase. It's the nature of the prize to attract. If you're constantly chasing, you're not aligned with the essence of your own value. You're not standing in the frequency of already being chosen. You're operating from lack. And lack always creates more lack. Stop chasing doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you become discerning. You recognize what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You understand that not everything that glitters is gold and not every open door leads to purpose. So you wait, not with fear, but with faith. Faith that the right people, the right moments, the right blessings will always make their way to you, not because you demanded them, but because you became the version of yourself who no longer begs. Waiting is the prize of an inner knowing. It's the quiet confidence that says, if it is meant for me, it will not miss me. And if it misses me, it was never mine. It's the refusal to shrink, to settle, or to compete for attention. Because deep within, you understand that the things you're meant to experience are already drawn to the vibration you hold. Raise your vibration, and what no longer fits will fall away. Stand still in your truth, and what aligns will show up. Sometimes without announcement, without effort, without warning. The prize never fears missing out. The prize is not shaken by delay or by silence. It trusts, not passively but spiritually. It trusts that its worth will always be recognized by the right eyes. It trusts that it is not hidden, it is protected, and that protection is not rejection, it is redirection. You don't need to chase after validation when you are anchored in identity. You don't need to run after what you believe is yours. You become the gravitational pull. What is aligned cannot resist you, not when you are rooted in the truth of who you are. This mindset is not common because it goes against everything the world teaches. The world teaches hustle, pursuit, desperation. It says, don't sit still, go out and get what you want. And there is value in action, yes. But there is a difference between action from alignment and action from insecurity. Chasing from insecurity is exhausting and often fruitless. But standing in identity and letting your energy do the calling, that is mastery. That is spiritual power. You become selective, not because you are too proud, but because you finally understand your worth. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't understand you. You stop trying to convince anyone of your goodness, your loyalty, your heart. You don't lower your standards for fleeting attention. You don't chase half efforts. You wait. Because you know, and in that knowing, there is peace. When you stop chasing and start embodying the truth that you are the prize, everything begins to shift. The people who once overlooked you begin to wonder. The ones who took you for granted begin to regret. The doors that once stayed closed begin to creak open, not because you knocked harder, but because you became undeniable. That's what happens when you rest in your power. The world adjusts to you. That anxiety, you no longer wake up in anxiety, trying to plan every step to get what you want. You wake up in confidence, knowing that what is yours is already on its way. You focus on becoming, not impressing. You focus on alignment, not performance. And the most beautiful part is this: when the blessings arrive, they don't feel like a reward for chasing. They feel like a natural response to your energy. Because you didn't chase, you chose. You chose yourself. And in doing so, you gave the world no other option but to choose you too. There is a transformative power in living as though it is already done. This is not wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is a deliberate act of spiritual authority. To assume that your desires are already fulfilled is to step into the energy of completion before the physical evidence appears. This is how true creation happens, not through hoping and waiting, but through becoming. But when you act as if you are the prize, you no longer operate from a place of lack, of trying to become worthy or trying to earn love or success. You begin to assume that everything you seek is already yours, and in doing so you collapse the distance between desire and manifestation. When you carry yourself as though the outcome is already secured, your thoughts shift, your emotions shift, your posture shifts. You stop asking, when will it happen, and begin living from the place of it is already mine. That is the difference between doubt and faith. Doubt looks outward for reassurance. Faith rests inward with conviction. To assume it is already done is to choose faith over fear, trust over striving, alignment over anxiety. You do not need to see the manifestation to believe in it. In fact, you must believe in it before you see it. That is the nature of all divine creation. Every great shift in life begins in the unseen, in the quiet chambers of the heart and mind. The world will always try to convince you that you must wait for signs, that you must be patient for proof. But the moment you begin to embody the version of yourself who already has what you desire, you send a new signal into the field of life. And life begins to respond not to your hope, but to your knowing. There is no faster way to transform your life than to assume you are already living the reality you seek. You want love? Then walk in the energy of one who is already loved, deeply, fully, without condition. You want success? Then speak, think, and move like someone who already carries success in their being. You want healing? Then dwell not in the sickness, but in the feeling of restoration and strength. This is not denial. This is decision. A decision to no longer reinforce the energy of what is lacking, but to nurture the frequency of what is becoming. The world around you begins to shift not when you complain, not when you wait, not when you demand, but when you decide. You decide who you are, and you hold that decision in your body, in your words, in your energy. It becomes your new normal. And the moment you normalize abundance, peace, love, respect, joy, those very things begin to find you, because you are no longer seeking them. So many people walk through life waiting for something to happen before they give themselves permission to feel good. They wait for love to feel worthy, wait for money to feel secure, wait for recognition to feel validated. But life doesn't work that way. The feeling must come first. The assumption must precede the evidence. If you walk as though it is already yours, you bridge the gap between the invisible and the visible. You become a magnet for the very things that once seemed distant. Acting as if it is already done does not mean pretending. It means aligning your inner world so completely with the outcome that it becomes more real to you than what your eyes can see. You close your eyes and dwell in the fulfilled state. You visualize not as a dreamer but as a creator. You speak not about what you hope for, but from what you know. And when you move from this place, your actions are not driven by fear, they are guided by confidence. This is the essence of walking by faith and not by sight. Faith does not consult the senses, it consults the spirit. And your spirit already knows what is meant for you. It already knows that the vision in your heart was placed there for a reason. The moment you stop questioning it and start living as though it is already done, the entire universe begins to rearrange itself to support your assumption. So wake up each day with the posture of fulfillment. Let your conversations reflect the confidence of one who is already chosen. Let your choices reflect the wisdom of one who already possesses clarity. Let your energy reflect the peace of one who is not waiting, but welcoming, and in doing so you rise above circumstance. You step outside of time. You walk ahead of the evidence because you are no longer trying to create from lack, you are creating from truth. And truth does not need to be proven, it only needs to be embodied. When you embody the energy of your fulfilled desire, the mirror of life cannot help but reflect it back, not because you forced it, but because you finally became it. You were never meant to chase, you were never meant to beg. You are the prize, the jackpot, the winning ticket. And yet so many live as though they are waiting to be chosen, hoping someone or something will give them value. But the truth is far greater. You are the source. The power that creates worlds is not outside of you, it is within you. You do not need to scratch the surface hoping to reveal something lucky. You are the revelation. All that you seek is already yours, if you would only dare to feel it so. Not tomorrow, not when the evidence appears, but now. The moment you assume it, you become it. The moment you live from the end begins to unfold. But if you wait to believe until your senses confirm it, you have given your power to the world instead of wielding it from within. You are the one who holds the golden ticket, not to something outside yourself, but to the infinite treasury within. Imagine what it feels like to already be it, to already have it. Let that feeling flood your body, not just a passing thought, but a deep, living conviction. The kind of knowing that needs no proof because it is its own evidence. You must act in alignment with the truth you have accepted. If you knew you were the winning ticket, how would you walk into a room? How would you speak? How would you love, create, and dream? Not with desperation, not with fear, but with calm assurance, knowing all things bend toward you because you are the one holding the vibration they respond to. Don't wait for others to validate your worth. The world is only echoing your assumptions. Change the assumption, and the echo changes. When you believe you are chosen, the world will mirror that back. When you believe you are abundance, life becomes generous. When you feel you are already living your dream, life rushes to keep up with your belief. So feel it now, be it now, not because the world has shown you, but because you have decided it. You are the winning ticket. You are the dream realized. Walk, speak, and live like it is already done, because in truth it is. You are the prize, not because someone else has chosen you, not because you've been validated, approved, or applauded. You are the prize because you exist, because life flows through you, because within you dwells the very same power that shapes galaxies, moves oceans, and bursts the miracle of breath without instruction. Yet most people spend their days seeking, chasing, striving, hoping someone or something outside of them will tell them they matter. They treat themselves as though they must earn their worth, as if they were a commodity waiting for a buyer. But that illusion must be broken. When you walk through the world not knowing your worth, everything you encounter becomes a reflection of that forgetting. People treat you as dispensable, not because they have power over you, but because you have not remembered who you are. You are not here to be chosen. You are the one who chooses. You are not here to prove you are worthy. You are here to know it, and from that knowing speak, move, and create. The world bends not to those who scream loudest, but to those who believe deeply. The unshakable belief that I am enough, that I am the source, rewrites your experience of reality. To see yourself as the prize is not arrogance, it is spiritual clarity. It is a return to the truth that you've always been whole. The moment you believe you need something or someone to complete you, you hand over your power. But power is not something others give you, it is something you embody. And you do so not by forcing it, but by realizing you were never missing anything in the first place. You are the prize not because of what you have or what you've achieved, but because of what you are. Consciousness, awareness, divine expression. It is easy to forget this truth in a world that thrives on comparison, a world that tells you to measure your worth by numbers, your followers, your salary, your accolades. But you were valuable before the world gave you a title. You were worthy before anyone knew your name. The mistake is thinking that your value increases when others notice it. The reality is your value becomes visible to others only when you notice it first. You do not become the prize by being seen, you become seen because you have accepted that you are the prize. Everything in your life changes the moment you stop chasing and start embodying. When you walk into a room, you're not hoping someone will make you feel important. You're bringing the awareness that you are important. And that energy, that confidence, not arrogance, but quiet certainty, shifts how the world receives you. You are no longer pleading for recognition, you are radiating identity. This is not about being better than others. It is about no longer placing yourself beneath them. It is about remembering that no one has the authority to decide your value. That job belongs to you. You have been conditioned to think you must be chosen by others in order to feel significant, by a partner, by an employer, by an audience. But the truth is, life mirrors back to you what you believe about yourself. If you see yourself as lacking, the world will echo lack. If you see yourself as abundance, opportunity responds. This is not magic. This is law. This is consciousness creating form. You do not become the winning lottery ticket when circumstances align. You become it the moment you recognize it in yourself. Then the circumstances have no choice but to conform. Stop asking the world to treat you like you matter. Treat yourself that way first. Speak to yourself with reverence. Move through your day as though the universe is unfolding in your favor. You are not just a part of life's fabric. You are the weaver. And when you remember this, you stop waiting for permission to shine. You stop shrinking to fit into places you've outgrown. You stop wondering if you are enough and begin to act like someone who knows they are. Your energy introduces you before you say a word. And that energy comes from belief. When you know you are the prize, you no longer fear rejection. You know rejection is simply redirection. You know the things that fall away are making space for something aligned with your true worth. When you believe you are the prize, you stop entertaining people, places, and patterns that don't reflect that truth. You no longer beg to stay in rooms where your presence is tolerated instead of celebrated. This isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about stripping away everything you were never meant to carry. The fear, the doubt, the insecurity, those are not yours. They were given to you, passed down, absorbed. But they are not the truth of you. The truth is that you are enough simply because you are. That truth doesn't need to be earned, it needs to be accepted. And when you do, you begin to live in alignment with who you were always meant to be. You don't have to chase what you already are. You don't have to prove what is already true. You are the prize. You are the dream walking. You are the evidence of unseen power taking form. The sooner you accept this, the sooner your outer world will shift. Because the world is not separate from you, it is a reflection of you. If you want to experience more love, more abundance, more respect, begin by giving those things to yourself. Not conditionally, not temporarily, but as your new way of being. When you see yourself as the winning ticket, you no longer need to be found, you are already found. You no longer wait for the phone call, the validation, the applause. You walk like the miracle you are, and the world recognizes you not because it suddenly woke up, but because you did. You remembered. And in that remembering, you became magnetic. You became the moment, the masterpiece, the manifestation. Not by force, but by presence. Not by effort, but by identity. You are the prize. Start acting like it. Because once you do, you won't have to convince anyone else. They'll just know. The energy doesn't lie. Creation begins within. This is a truth that holds the power to change everything in your life if you truly understand it. The world you see around you, the circumstances, the people, the events, everything in your experience is a reflection of what is happening inside you. The external world is simply the mirror of your internal state. This is the law of manifestation, the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction. It is not some mystical principle, but a fundamental truth that shapes every moment of our existence. The idea that creation begins within is not something new or unique. It is an ancient concept, spoken about in every major philosophy, religion, and spiritual tradition. It has been echoed by the greatest thinkers, from the mystics to the modern-day philosophers, that what we experience in the outer world is a direct reflection of what we hold within our minds, hearts, and imaginations. But even though this knowledge is widespread, it remains largely misunderstood or ignored. We tend to focus on changing what is outside of us, hoping that if we change our circumstances, our experiences will improve. We try to manipulate the world around us, believing that by doing so we will find peace, success, or happiness. But true and lasting change does not happen by rearranging the external. It happens by shifting what is happening inside. Think of your mind as a garden. What you plant in this garden, whether consciously or unconsciously, grows and blossoms into your reality. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and negativity, your life will reflect that. If you plant seeds of belief, confidence, and love, your life will reflect that instead. But the key point to remember is that it is you who decides what gets planted. Your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. These are the seeds that shape your experience. You are the gardener of your mind and therefore the creator of your world. Most people, however, operate under the assumption that the world controls them. They believe that their circumstances determine their thoughts and emotions. If things are going well, they feel good. If things are going poorly, they feel bad. They are constantly reacting to the world around them. But this is a passive way of living. It is the opposite of creation. When you react to your circumstances, you are allowing the external world to shape your inner world. You are allowing yourself to be a victim of your environment. You're not creating, you are merely existing, swept along by the tide of life without any sense of direction or purpose. Creation, however, is an active process. It starts with deciding how you will respond to life. It starts with choosing the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings you will entertain. You are not a passive observer. You are a conscious participant in the process of creation. And the key to creating the life you desire is to focus on what is happening within you, rather than what is happening around you. The world is a reflection of your internal state. If you want to change what you see, you must first change what you think and feel. One of the most powerful tools for creation is the imagination. The imagination is where all creation begins. It is the seed of every idea, every project, every relationship, and every outcome. Everything you see in the physical world was once imagined in someone's mind. Every invention, every piece of art, every building, every car, all of it began as a thought, a vision, an image in someone's mind. The same is true for your life. If you want to create something new, you must first imagine it. You must see it in your mind's eye before it can materialize in the world around you. But imagining is not enough. You must also believe that what you imagine is possible. This is where most people falter. They allow doubt to creep in and tell them that their dreams are unrealistic, that they cannot have what they desire, or that they are not worthy of it. Doubt is a powerful force that can prevent you from manifesting your desires. It is the opposite of faith, and it will block the flow of creation. To truly create, you must align your beliefs with your desires. You must believe that what you imagine is already on its way to you. Once you align your thoughts and beliefs with your desires, you must then begin to act as if those desires are already a reality. This is where the magic happens. It is not enough to simply think about what you want. You must begin to live as if it is already true. If you want to be successful, start acting like a successful person. If you want to be healthy, start living as if you are already healthy. If you want to be wealthy, start making decisions and taking actions as if you already have the abundance you seek. When you act as if, you send a powerful signal to the universe that you are ready to receive what you have already created in your mind. Your actions are the physical manifestation of your inner state, and they will help to bring your desires into reality. This is the process of creation. Decide what you want, imagine it, believe it, and then act as if it is already yours. The external world will then align itself with your inner vision, and what was once only a thought in your mind will become a reality in your life. The key to creating the life you desire is to stop waiting for something outside of you to change. Stop waiting for the right circumstances, the right people, the right timing. Creation begins within you. You are the source of everything you experience. The moment you take responsibility for your inner world and begin to align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your desires, the world around you will begin to shift. You will begin to attract the people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your inner vision. You will begin to see the evidence of your creation. Creation is not a passive process. It is not something that happens to you. It is something that you actively participate in. You are the creator of your reality, and the power to change your life lies within you. The moment you recognize this, your entire experience of life will change. You will no longer be a victim of circumstances. You will be the master of your fate, the creator of your reality. And the world will reflect that. Belief precedes evidence. This is a profound concept that can completely transform your life if you truly understand and embrace it. The world around you often shows up as a reflection of what you already believe to be true, even if there is no immediate or physical evidence of it. The problem is that most people wait for the evidence to appear before they will believe. They wait for external circumstances to change, for someone to tell them they are worthy, for their desires to manifest, before they allow themselves to truly believe in their potential and power. But this is backward. The key to unlocking everything you want in life is to first believe, without needing external validation, and then the evidence will follow. Most people are conditioned to believe that their senses are the ultimate authority. They look at the world around them, their bank balance, their job, their relationships, and base their beliefs about themselves and their future on what they see. If things are going well, they feel confident and hopeful. If things are not going well, they feel discouraged and defeated. Their belief system is dictated by external circumstances rather than the power within them. But what if your senses are not the final judge of your reality? What if the true power lies in your inner world, the way you think, feel, and believe about yourself and the world around you? Belief is not something you need to wait for or search for outside of yourself. It is an inner decision, a deep knowing that shapes the experiences you will have. The moment you truly believe something to be true, the universe will begin to rearrange itself to bring that belief into manifestation. But before that can happen, you must first align your belief with what you desire. Most people, however, are focused on the lack of evidence rather than the power of belief. They might want to be successful, happy, wealthy, or loved, but if they look around and see no evidence of those things in their lives, they doubt that they will ever experience them. This is where the true challenge lies, learning to believe before you see, rather than after. This concept is best understood through the lens of the imagination. Your imagination is the gateway to creation. It is where all possibilities reside, where all things are first created before they manifest in the physical world. But for the imagination to work effectively, it requires belief. You must believe that the images, thoughts, and feelings you have in your mind are real and possible, even if there is no evidence to support them in the external world. This is where most people get stuck. They want to see the evidence before they will believe it is possible. But this is exactly what prevents them from manifesting what they desire. The power of belief lies in the fact that it precedes evidence. This means that belief has the ability to shape the future, to create the conditions necessary for what you desire to come into being. You must hold the belief that it is already yours, that it already exists in your world, and then take inspired action in alignment with that belief. When you do this, the universe will begin to mirror your belief back to you, bringing the people, opportunities, and experiences that match the energy you are projecting. One of the most powerful examples of this principle is seen in the way people succeed in business, sports, or any field that requires determination and resilience. Successful individuals believe in their potential before they have evidence of it. They see themselves as winners, achievers, and leaders, even when the world around them might not reflect that. Their belief is so strong that it propels them forward, and eventually the evidence of their success begins to appear. They don't need to wait for someone to tell them they are worthy. They know it deep within themselves, and that belief creates the path forward. This principle also applies to personal development. When you believe in your worth, your value, and your ability to grow, you begin to attract the experiences that align with that belief. If you don't believe you are worthy of love, for example, you will create relationships that reflect that belief. If you don't believe you can achieve your goals, you will continue to encounter obstacles and setbacks. But the moment you change your belief, when you decide to believe that you are deserving, capable, and worthy, your reality begins to shift. It doesn't matter that there is no external evidence of this yet. What matters is that you believe it. And that belief will pave the way for the evidence to show up. The key to making belief work for you is to embrace it as a fact before you see the proof. Your belief is the cause and the evidence is the effect. But most people are trying to flip this around. They are waiting for the effect, the evidence to show up before they will believe it is possible. This is where the shift in thinking must occur. You must believe in first. You must believe in the power of your mind, your thoughts, and your imagination. You must trust that the universe is always responding to your inner state, your beliefs, and your energy. This process requires trust, patience, and persistence. It requires you to hold your vision even when things seem uncertain or difficult. It requires you to see the evidence of your belief even if it is not immediately apparent. The more you practice believing before seeing, the more you will begin to see the changes in your life. The more you persist in holding the belief that you are worthy, capable, and deserving, the more the external world will align with that belief. This is the true nature of manifestation. Belief first, evidence second. Belief also requires a deep sense of conviction. It is not a fleeting thought or a wishful hope. It is an unwavering certainty that what you desire is already on its way to you. This conviction must be firm, rooted in the understanding that you are not waiting for something to happen. You are actively creating it through your belief. The beauty of this principle is that it puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. It empowers you to take control of your reality, rather than allowing external circumstances to dictate your experience. When you understand that belief precedes evidence, you stop waiting for things to change before you believe in your own power. You begin to believe in yourself and your potential first. And from that belief, you create the circumstances that will reflect it. Remember, belief is the key. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built. The moment you decide to believe, truly believe, that your desires are already yours, the universe begins to respond. And soon the evidence of that belief will appear in your life in ways you never imagined. But it all begins with you. It begins with your belief, your inner conviction, and your unwavering trust in the process of creation. Faith is a powerful force. It's not something passive or abstract. It's an active, dynamic energy that shapes your reality. Faith is the unseen force that bridges the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. It is the trust in something that cannot yet be proven, the belief in a potential that hasn't yet manifested. This is the essence of creation, believing in what is unseen, knowing that the invisible forces at work in your life are shaping your world, even before the physical evidence appears. It is about having the courage to believe in something greater than yourself, in a truth beyond the current circumstances, and to trust that everything you desire is already on its way to you. Faith operates on a deep level of inner conviction. It's not about blind hope or wishful thinking. Faith is the deep knowing that what you desire is already in existence and is unfolding in perfect timing. Faith says, even though I do not see it yet, I know it is coming. It requires surrendering the need to control the how and trusting that the process is already set in motion. Faith is knowing that the seeds you've planted in your consciousness are already growing, even though the fruit is not yet visible. It's about having the patience and the resilience to keep going even when you can't see immediate results. Faith also plays a role in the nature of your beliefs and the way you view the world. If you have faith in the law of creation, the understanding that you are the creator of your reality, then you know that everything in your life is a result of the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions you've held. If you believe that you can shape your future, that belief becomes a cornerstone upon which your reality is built. In truth, if you trust that all things are possible, that belief opens the door for limitless possibilities to manifest in your life. But if you doubt that you have the power to create, that doubt becomes a barrier to the manifestation of your desires. Faith is the foundation of possibility. It expands your vision, allowing you to see beyond your current limitations and circumstances. One of the most profound aspects of faith is its ability to transform the way you experience time. Faith allows you to transcend the limitations of time and space, to see beyond the present moment and trust in the unseen unfolding. Most people live in a state of constant impatience, always focusing on what is not yet here. They live in the future or the past, waiting for a time when things will be better. But faith invites you to be present in the moment, to trust that everything is happening in divine timing. Time becomes irrelevant when you have faith, because you know that everything you desire is already working its way to you. You are no longer in a rush, because you know that it is already yours. Living in faith also means releasing the need for validation or confirmation from external sources. So often people look to others or to their circumstances to provide the proof they need to keep believing. They wait for others to tell them they are on the right track, or for the signs to appear before they can trust that their desires are coming. But faith does not need external confirmation. It is self-assured, unwavering, and unshaken by what others think or say. It is rooted in the inner knowing that you are guided and supported by forces greater than yourself. You trust that everything is working out for you, even if you can't see it yet. Faith is also the antidote to fear. When you have faith, fear can no longer control you. Fear thrives on uncertainty and doubt, but faith thrives in certainty and trust. Fear causes you to second-guess yourself, to question whether you are capable, whether things will work out. Faith, on the other hand, assures you that you are supported by an infinite power, and that this power will not let you fail. It reminds you that you are part of something far greater than yourself, and that the universe is constantly conspiring in your favor. Faith pushes aside fear and doubt, replacing them with confidence and peace. When you trust that all is well, you stop worrying about what might go wrong, and instead you begin to focus on what can go right. Another important aspect of faith is its role in overcoming obstacles. Life will inevitably present challenges, doubts, and setbacks. But faith enables you to navigate these challenges with resilience and strength. When you have faith, you see obstacles as temporary, not permanent. You understand that setbacks are simply part of the process, not signs of failure. Faith provides the mental fortitude to keep going when things get tough, knowing that the challenges you face are part of your growth and evolution. Faith gives you the courage to take inspired action, even in the face of uncertainty. It allows you to step forward with confidence, knowing that the universe is supporting you every step of the way. Faith is also deeply connected to the power of gratitude. When you truly trust that your desires are already on their way, you can express gratitude for what is yet to come. Gratitude is a powerful vibration that accelerates the manifestation process because it aligns you with the energy of abundance. It shifts your focus from lack to abundance, and in doing so, you invite more of what you desire into your life. When you express gratitude, you are affirming that you already have everything you need and that you are open to receiving even more. Gratitude and faith are interconnected. With faith fueling your gratitude and gratitude strengthening your faith, this creates a powerful cycle of positivity and abundance in your life. Living by faith also means understanding that life is not about controlling every detail, but about trusting the flow. You cannot control every circumstance, nor should you try. Faith teaches you to surrender the need for control and allow life to unfold as it is meant to. This does not mean giving up or being passive. It means being in harmony with the flow of life, knowing when to act and when to rest, when to move forward and when to trust the timing of the universe. Faith is about trusting the process, even when things are unclear. It allows you to release resistance and flow with life, knowing that you are always being guided toward your highest good. Faith is the force that propels you forward, even when everything around you suggests otherwise. It is the conviction that your desires are already on their way to you, regardless of the external evidence. Faith turns obstacles into opportunities, challenges into lessons, and doubts into strength. When you live by faith, you align yourself with the infinite possibilities of the universe, and you begin to see the miraculous unfold in your life. Through faith, you step into your power as a creator, knowing that all things are possible and that your dreams are within your reach. It is the force that empowers you to take inspired action, trust the timing of life, and ultimately manifest everything you desire.